What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk about some Destiny 2 stuff. Of course, it is Christmas Day if you're watching this on the day that it actually goes out, so if you're celebrating that, then definitely have a good one. Whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day. But of course, Destiny never seems to stop, even on Christmas Day. We got some cool stuff to talk about. So we have some further confirmation about the second expansion for Destiny 2, particularly what it's going to be called, and some information about the locale for the expansion, which is pretty interesting. On top of this though, I wanted to take a quick look at some new raid weapons that will be added to the Leviathan raid, particularly the raid lair, the Eater of Worlds, what appear to be some prestige rewards as well. And I wanted to take a look at a bunch of new faction items, sparrows, ships, ghosts and all that kind of stuff, which will be coming inside of Season 2. So first up, an image has surfaced regarding the second expansion for Destiny 2. This actually popped up inside of the PlayStation Store. I have to say thanks to Half Cubed for sending me the screenshot right here. I'm not sure if they actually took the screenshot originally, but inside of the PlayStation Store a little while ago, the name of the second expansion did actually appear alongside the Curse of Osiris. So we can see expansion 2 Gods of Mars in the store right there. And of course this correlates to other leaks. There was a leak very early on in September for Gods of Mars on the PlayStation Store for Japan. And this kind of went under the radar a little bit because the game had just come out. There was a lot of other, conversation and things going on regarding Destiny 2. But with this screenshot, it becomes increasingly likely that this is indeed true and Gods of Mars will be the second expansion. Interestingly, this does make some sense in the image for expansion 2. We do see these guardians standing in front of a war mine bunker, and it appears to be very kind of cold and icy. Behind them, you can actually see the Martian moon Phobos, and this is a moon that we actually visited in Destiny 1, and it's a very distinct shape, so it definitely appears that this is indeed Phobos, which of course links it to Mars. Now, inside of D2 itself, there have been a couple of adventures which have kind of preceded other events in the game. So you had the Invitation from the Emperor adventure, and this is one that was available in the base game before the Leviathan actually became available. There was also, numerous ones about the Vex and Osiris, and they all kind of hint towards future content. And of course the Arecibo adventure, which is one that takes place on Io, is one that people have been talking about, with regards to this. You get a lot of information about the war mines, and at the end of the adventure there is actually some ghost dialogue where he says, "I don't understand, something's happening, red sand, Mars and ice caps." So it's interesting, of course, they're making the link to Mars, red sand itself, but also ice caps, and this correlates with that image that we see for the expansion. Also interesting is that back in D1 there was a lot of kind of leaks and rumors about a Mars expansion, which would actually include a war mine called Charlemagne. Now, the war mine on Io, where you actually do the Arecibo adventure, is abbreviated to JYS, and this is assumed by many to be short for joyous. Now, this is really interesting because this was the name for the sword of the Frankish king Charlemagne, and as I just mentioned, this was an AI supposed to be set on Mars in an expansion that we never actually got. It was also an expansion supposedly where we would have a raid called the Pyramidion. So it seems that there is absolutely links there. Another thing to point out is that Mars does actually have ice caps on its north pole, so there's yet another link to the kind of icy imagery that we see. And back in the Taken King, there was a mission called Tenebrous Tunnels, and that took place in the Freehold transit station underneath Mars, which actually had a train line to the cradle at the North Pole. And that was something that was inside of the dialogue of that mission. So they have referred to the North Pole of Mars before in the Taken King. At the end of Destiny 2, we also get the post-credit cutscene, and Luke Smith did confirm that this was the light kind of touching places in the solar system. So one of the first places that it visits is Mercury, and later on it does actually pass Mars, but if you look carefully you can actually see the ice caps on the surface of Mars in the cutscene. So it seems at this point they're very strongly suggesting, that we're going to be going to this place in the future. There is actually a job listing for a senior environment artist for Destiny, and this was on Activision's referrals website, and in the description it does have, "Can you build an alien military compound on Venus? Can you imagine and craft an ice cavern on Mars?" So they're actually using existing reference points to pose those questions. I don't think they're looking for someone who can come and build the ice caverns that they're going to have in this expansion or whatever. It's more about, can you create these types of things? But they're actually using, references from Destiny, a military compound on Venus, an ice cavern on Mars, which really strongly suggests, to me at least, that this is, existing stuff that they're using as examples. So I think that's really, really cool. It's looking looking like Gods of Mars will indeed be the name of the expansion. We've had a number of different leaks and, tons of speculation about this stuff, but at this point, I think it's absolutely clear that, Mars is where this expansion will be set at the very least, and of course, it's going to revolve around these war mines. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on that in the comment section. Moving on though, I wanted to take a look at some raid weapons, which are really interesting. These were actually posted by senior concept artist Ryan Jitter from Bungie, but it actually has Curse of Osiris raid weapons filling out weapon archetypes for the raid set, and that's the description for these images on his ArtStation page. Firstly, we see the grenade launcher right here. This is actually a weapon that was introduced with the Curse of Osiris in the Eater of Worlds, so that one absolutely is already in the game. Of course, they also added the shotgun, and there isn't any art for that one on the page, but it's pretty interesting because, a shotgun, a grenade launcher, sidearm, and a fusion rifle were very obviously missing from the set in the original Leviathan raid. If we take a look at the next image though, we actually have a fusion rifle for the Leviathan raid, and since we only have 2 weapons currently in the Eater of Worlds, I would bargain that these are actually prestige rewards for the Eater of Worlds, so pretty awesome fusion rifle right there. And we also have an image of a sidearm, and you can see that they have that same kind of Leviathan theme on them, but interestingly they do have black and gold skins as opposed to the kind of creamy white and gold that you have on the base weapons. So on top of these actually being new rewards, I would predict that these are going to be prestige versions of those weapons. They also come with this kind of purple, glow in some of the ornamentation on the weapons. And it's worth remembering that Bungie are saying that they're going to improve prestige rewards coming up in January, and it looks like the prestige Leviathan or prestige Eater of Worlds will actually be waiting until they've done that update. So like I said, absolutely we have the fusion rifle as well as the sidearm right there, but I'd also be willing to bet that these are going to be prestige weapons and not just, normal weapons, and perhaps they'll even update the base Leviathan, to have these new weapons, because obviously the existing models are there, they just have to apply new effects and skins to them essentially, and perhaps even other perks as well. Either way, the sidearm and the fusion are definitely weapons we can expect to see in the Eater of Worlds prestige raid. Up next though, we have a look at some new items coming to the factions inside of Season 2 in Destiny. First up, it's worth me mentioning Chris Barrett from Bungie did confirm the Iron Banner and Faction Rally will be 2 events we'll see inside of January. Of course, the Faction Rally itself was actually postponed, but as well as the new weapons and armor ornaments, there are actually new items to pick up. So for each of the factions, there are new shaders. We have the Dead Orbit Resurrection right here. On top of this, the future war called Endgame, and then we have the new Monarchy Succession. There are also new emblems, so we have Escape This Dead Orbit. On top of that, the future war Cultist, and then finally the Sigil of the New Monarchy. And now I'm just going to let some images run of the Ghost ships and Sparrows for all of the factions, and we even have images of the Iron Banner ship, Ghost and Sparrow as well. So I'll let all of those images run now. We have Dead Orbit, FWC, and then New Monarchy in that particular order. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, an update on some interesting stuff. If you have, a like is very much appreciated below. Let me know your thoughts on any of the stuff in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see more Destiny 2 content. Like I said, if you're celebrating Christmas or the holiday season, then I hope you have an absolutely awesome time. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you very soon.
Yeah.